on StarTimes. You can also view this on our social media handles at Western Spring Television NG. Here on Morning Spring, we talk about issues. We speak truth to power. That's what we do here. We start with the newspaper review. Then, of course, we dive into critical conversations with stakeholders, talking about matters that shape our nation. And if it truly matters, rest assured that you get to hear it from us right here. And we say it as it is. Talking about speaking truth to power, it's quite unfortunate that in Nigeria, we are currently bedeviled with a crop of politicians who have no ideologies, who have no principles whatsoever, and we will keep speaking truth to power. The fact that you're a politician doesn't mean you should stand for nothing. Unfortunate, we don't have viable opposition in Nigeria right now. Yesterday, we talked about it on the show. The fact that you're a politician doesn't mean you shouldn't stand for something. Or how else can you explain it that someone who is a member of a party is openly working for another party, and his fellow party members are saying he's working in the best interest of their party? But Nigerians are not dumb. Nigerians are watching. Because if it is someone's intention to make sure that a particular party fields the weakest candidates possible just to pave the way for the ruling party, what does that say about opposition in Nigeria? This is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, and we will keep speaking truth to power. We can't just keep quiet when politicians make fallacious statements. It is our job, our responsibility, to speak out and hold our leaders accountable. Daniel Emeka is my name. Welcome once again to Morning Spring. And of course, I'm not alone. Good morning, Femi.
Well, I was thinking you alone. Because I could see the passion of you, the Nigerian thing that you want this nation to work. Actually, everybody wants the nation to work. But then, that's why we come here every day, to launch this program. And when you just look at so many things happening, one might be rearing to go, just like you did right now. And it's the passion, it's the energy, it's the zeal. But then, good morning to you too. And good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. This is what we do at this time every day, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. We are here and we are back. Critical issues, headlines from major dailies, and we are here to do what you do. So much to talk about, just the way you have started.
Absolutely, so much to talk about. I mean, it's quite unfortunate when we have a nation. I'm quite concerned and worried about the state of opposition in Nigeria. And without mincing words, I'm going to say it right here again on this platform, because it's not as if we have anything personal against anyone. Mr. Nyesom Wike is the FCT minister, okay? He's working for Mr. President, but he's a member of the PDP. He's not just any member of the PDP. He's a very strong member of the PDP, which is supposed to be the major opposition party in Nigeria by status. We know where PDP is coming from. One of the largest parties in Africa, of course. So he's supposed to be #1 opposition party. So when you have a figure like the FCT minister, who's not just a member of the PDP, but a leader, a member of the National Working Committee of the opposition PDP, working for the APC, campaigning openly for the APC, saying he will make sure the president is re-elected, and his party members are saying yesterday, because we had Prince Dinro Odeyemi yesterday, saying that Wike is working in the best interest of the party, while he's campaigning openly for an opposition party. So where is the ideology? No ideology, no principles. Now, like I said during the introduction, Nigerians are not dumb. So someone like Wike will never support a strong candidate for the PDP for 2027. Jonathan is a strong candidate. Wike will never support Jonathan. Peter Obi is a strong candidate. Wike will never support Peter Obi. Because it's quite clear, the game plan is for him to ensure that the PDP fields the weakest candidate possible, just to pave way for his own ambition, because he's not even hiding it. He has said he's campaigning for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Right.
So when we speak, so it's not as if we have anything, I have nothing personal against him, but let's look at principles and ideologies. This is Nigeria. It's quite shameful that we don't have opposition. So in that case, if he succeeds in making sure that, oh, the strongest candidates do not emerge for the PDP, Nigerians won't be surprised. In fact, they might even sponsor a candidate for the PDP for 2027, a weaker candidate. They can't even buy the form for him and sponsor him. Say, you just come and, contest. Is that what we should be having in Nigeria's opposition? The answer is no. So when we don't have viable opposition, we should be able to speak up. And don't tell us that we are journalists, we don't understand politics, we are not inside. That's balderdash. That's nothing. We don't have to be politicians. I don't have to be a card-carrying member of a political party to understand the political game. And when you say politics, I mean, it's not mathematics. Fine, it's not mathematics. It's not science. It's not 1 + 1. But again, that doesn't stop us from applying principles of statistics, looking at every possible outcome in the permutation. That is why we are learned. Look at every possible outcome and consider it. That is what political analysis is all about. And we will keep speaking truth to power.
Well, I guess for Nigerians, especially those that are old enough, they will know that politicians will do what politicians do. They will say what politicians say. And especially, let's say, from 1999 till now, one will know this is where we started in the recent democracy now, this republic, and this is what we have done with it. So for Minister Wike, for the PDP as a party, for the opposition parties, and many of them doing whatever they want to do, I'm not sure. This is a personal opinion. Before we get talking, many persons should really hold them responsible or hold them tightly, or you think hold them seriously. I think that's what I'm looking for. Because when we only get agitated, you only get upset if you think, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be played. And in fact, they will tell you, if Nigerian politics is explained to you and you understand, that means they have not explained very well. And if you understand it. So I'm not sure it's worth beating oneself up about. The man yesterday, one of our guests, revered guest on this program, spoke to him many times. That was his opinion. And Nigerians, our business here is to ask questions, back it up with statistics, scientific report and data, everything for the public good. Whatever they say, Nigerians can see beyond that, actually. So if they say, a politician wakes up today and say PDP and APC will not win the next election, the party that will win is APM. That's his opinion. Nigerians can see beyond that. And so even the man yesterday, Prince Inondemi, ranking member of the PDP, especially in Osun State, has been a former national officer before, said, don't take what politicians say seriously. He said we should not believe. No, he said, and of course, and I told him that, which means I can't believe anything you say. Before that, I asked him and said, I want to believe you, but whatever you are saying this morning, is it worth believing? He said, okay, part-time is what they are saying part-time. So once really working.
Yeah, but Femi, the fact that one is a politician doesn't mean they shouldn't stand for anything. That's my point.
Now, if they choose to stand for anything, or if they don't choose to stand for anything,
we should choose politicians who stand for something. That's my own point. We should have people who stand for something.
What you can do from here is to do what we are doing.
That's what I'm saying, exactly.
It is let the people know. To do. Nigerians can see. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We won't force it on them to stand for something. You can only speak what you are supposed to speak, say what you are supposed to say. Politicians will do what they are supposed to do. Either it's Wike in the PDP, or somebody in Marafa in the APC in Zamfara State, or anybody, they will do what they want to do. So we have a business here that is cut out for us. We ask the questions, deep ones, and it's left for Nigerians to make their choice.
Absolutely. So and they also came out yesterday talking about the PDP at the national level to give reasons why Wike has not been sanctioned yet. And I'm said, within me, when I saw that report, I said, the PDP at the national level is a joke right now. I mean, when they gave, I saw the reasons they gave that, yes, they set up a committee to take action against him, but no member has officially submitted a petition against him. I said, come on, this is a joke. So, well, like you said, Nigerians are watching. They know what to do. My point is, there are politicians, there are people. You can actually play politics and stand for something. Stand for something, have principles, have ideologies. So these ones that don't have it, it's our responsibility to vote them out of power. That's my point.
Well, that would be from the place of advocacy.
Absolutely.
Not,
that's what I'm saying.
You know, we
yeah.
won't stand there and be telling people who to vote for and not to vote for. That's none of our business.
It is our business to tell Nigerians to vote credible leaders because we are all suffering the mess we are in right now.
All right. Other things are here to be done. Let's take a quick break. When we return, the papers are in. We kickstart the headline segment today from the front page of the Vanguard. National Convention. Front page of the Vanguard. National Convention. PDP draws battle line with Wike's camp. With riders, rather. Wike's camp cites court orders, demands fresh congresses in Anambra, Ebonyi, Southeast. Another rider says one's against microzoning of presidential ticket, rather. Then you can't hold party to ransom. PDP fires back. And Diaz, Wike, Autumn, Fireshare, Ikwazu, Ogwai, others to form faction. And Mohammed, Intiri, Wabara, Damagum, talk tall. All right, and below that, you see those PDP chieftains there. The, governance that among the embattled senator of Kogi Central, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, Governor Sheyi Makinde, Governor Balha Mohammed, Governor Fintiri, the national chairman, Umar Damagum, and many other officers there. Away from that, states have no excuse not to pay beyond 70,000 naira minimum wage. That's coming from NECA. Right, states have no excuse not to pay beyond 70,000 naira minimum wage. I think maybe a state that has taken a cue, a recent one, is Imo State. That is paying more than, I think, 104,000 naira. About.
That's now, impressive.
Yeah, now that they have more money, and people are still expressing their opinion there to say, can he keep up? Can he be consistent? Because there is no point, giving promises and maybe you pay your first 2-3 months and then the way they say it around here, Shalaye will now come in.
No, actually,
to say, when we have, we have been here before and there have been government that paid 13th month salary, 13 months. Meaning extra one, and they did it for a couple of years. And after that, the whole thing went south, and the explanation was, when we have it, we pay you 13 months. So when we don't have it now, you people should not make trouble, or you should understand. Now, visa overstay, US, UK, ramp up warnings may ban violators. If you're having a visa for a particular purpose, it's not even the overstaying alone. They say if it's for a particular purpose, stay within the confines of what your visa will allow you to do. If it's a student visa, behave like a student.
Yeah.
If it's a work visa, do that. If it's time, 6 months, 3 years, 5 years, don't stay beyond that period.
UK is even saying just leave before your visa expires. Right. That's what they are telling.
And I think that's the most respectable thing to
Absolutely.
do. You don't have to wait for, till you are pursued up and down. And Ghana president fires Chief Justice over abuse of office. Chief Justice over abuse of office. Interesting. Can he unilaterally do that? Is it permitted by the law?
That's what I'm thinking.
That?
Well, here we have the National Judicial Commission.
But then that's Ghana.
Exactly.
Right. And on the top strip, DMO, that's Debt Management Office, tells states to prioritize PPP, public-private partnerships, not borrowing. But you should be going at borrowing. With what you do, with what we have been seeing, hearing, your state and some other state, huge amounts of money being borrowed. Now, we've met our revenue target, no longer borrowing from domestic banks, Tinubu. We've met our revenue target, no longer borrowing from domestic banks. Okay, how about foreign banks? How about the Brentwood institutions? All right, what am I saying? Maybe baby steps, one thing at a time. And made in Nigeria footwear can be the best in the world. As a CEO, Mona Matthews of shoes. All right, I think if we pay attention to details, that's my issue with many Nigerian fashion houses or, cobblers and all of those persons. Okay, good ideas. But you know, attention to details. It's sometimes, and the packaging is good. Yeah, the product has to be very good, original. But then the final packaging, you get to some shops, local shops, doing manufacturing, and then you see the way the thing is packaged. It's not looking nice at all and attractive. And they even, because they feel it's original, it will be so expensive. Sometimes it's more expensive than even the foreign ones.
Absolutely.
But then I believe if we do so well, package it well, and then some will say access to funding as well. It might be a bane on local manufacturers. Give fund, workable fund, not the ones that interest rate is double digits.
Even the cost of
there.
even the cost of manufacturing. Look
Yeah.
at power. When you have to generate your own power, if you know how much most of these organizations spend on diesel, it's something else.
Of course, we have a ready-made example with what we do here.
Absolutely.
And how we stay afloat here now. And world redelineation, INEC under fire as a security nation pause for probe. World redelineation, INEC under fire as a security nation pause for probe. And on the sporting scene, Eagles camp comes alive as training begins in New York. Eagles camp comes alive as training begins in New York. And many of the boys have started arriving for that make or remaining matches in the African qualifiers, and of course the qualification series, the remaining matches for 2026 American World Cup holding later in the USA. And humor, see, Mr. and Mrs. This is from Mr. Is that why? Okay. From Mrs. now. You finished the food, yet you complained that the stew was too watery. Okay. And there is a continuation of that. Say yes. Okay. Mr. responds, is that why you didn't serve me any water? And Mrs. responds, yes. Or didn't you get enough from the stew? You understand? You're saying that the stew is watery and you're complaining about being served water. You should have drunk your water from the stew they're complaining about. That's from Mr. and Mrs. And that is all from the front page of the Vanguard for today.
And from the Vanguard, we move to the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. On the Daily Trust newspaper, thugs disrupt Katsina elders meeting. Thugs disrupt Katsina elders meeting with a rider as rider leads stakeholders to Tinubu. You can read up that story on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, how thugs disrupted elders meeting. All right, away from that, moving to the top strip. Tinubu sets aside NTA appointment, recalls DG, ED News. Tinubu sets aside NTA appointments, recalls Director General, Executive Director News. You can read up that story on page, that's not so clear right there. You can read up, I guess that's page 3 right there. Beside that, we have another story. Obasanjo, Abdusalami, Jonathan, push for accessible health care. Obasanjo, Abdusalami, Jonathan, push for accessible health care. Fresh quake in Afghanistan as death toll rises to 1,400. Fresh quake in Afghanistan as death toll rises to 1,400. Quite unfortunate. When I saw that report yesterday, when I saw the BBC report yesterday, it was the death toll was around 800. An earthquake that's at a scale of 6.0. Yeah, that recorded a magnitude of 6.0 on the Richter scale. Hit Afghanistan, and it rattled buildings all the way from Kabul to Islamabad in neighboring Pakistan. It was quite massive. Entire villages were, swallowed up in that earthquake. Quite unfortunate. And now we have death toll rising to 1,400. That looks more like an apocalypse right there. Quite an unfortunate one.
It was horrible, because of the scale of that disaster, natural disaster. Actually, you have little or no power.
Absolutely,
no power
yeah.
to do. But then Afghanistan is in a very precarious situation because almost all most members of the nations of the world have turned their back on them because of what they operate. You know, the Taliban government and all of these people, the US left in a very abrupt version, the UK, the US, and so it's mostly like they're on their own and the way what they do there. So humanitarian help, humanitarian aid is far from them. And you need to see most of those villages and places that have been affected, you just look at them and say, what becomes of these people actually? Because sparingly, you could only see maybe one or two choppers helping. And you know, even those ones that were evacuating people, taking them to where? In Afghanistan.
Yeah, the terrain is not easy. Mountainous
Of course,
yes,
mountainous place. From the fact that it's a government that is just anyhow, the kind of place and the kind of things they do in that place. So more like they have been left largely on their own. And soon, I saw a report yesterday, later in the evening, I think our station here did a report, and we learned more than 1,410 persons. And you can say, you know, because you're a bad person, that the toll.
They saved my rights, absolutely.
You still find bodies later. Some will still die from injuries sustained. So it's a difficult situation.
Quite unfortunate one right there. Talking about the earthquake in Afghanistan. Well, thankfully, Femi, that's one of the things that we have to be thankful about here in Nigeria. I mean, God has blessed this nation so much. We don't experience this kind of natural disaster. The only disaster, like some people we say jokingly we have, is bad leadership. That's the only disaster we have in Nigeria. Away from that, moving on to other stories, still on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. President meets CPC bloc, says Nigeria not borrowing locally. President meets CPC bloc, says Nigeria not borrowing locally. Of course, we prefer international borrowing. Away from that, on the bottom strip, PDP insists on convention despite new demands from Wike's camp. PDP insists on convention despite new demands from Wike's camp. You can read of that story on page 14 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Experts predict Naira stability. Experts predict Naira stability. CBN injects fresh $50 million. CBN injects fresh $50 million. You can read of that story on page 27. Super Eagles hit camp for World Cup qualifiers. Super Eagles hit camp for World Cup qualifiers. You can read of that story on page 41. And that'll be all from the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
All right, moving on from the front page of the Daily Trust, the Daily Times has the following headlines. Daily Times, PDP leaders talked off, say no one can stop national convention. And court remands 24-year-old over attempted murder and arson. And a past conviction reaffirms commitment to fight against terrorism, says Chief of Defense Staff. And Tinubu hails Buhari's legacy, reassures allies on economic stability, national recovery. And here we have these NCAA 6 AFCC's assistance in tackling aviation fraud, and NAMA finally implements new salary structure. FCTA moves to reclaim River Park estate lands, declares developers trespassers. That will be all from the front page of the Daily Times.
From the Daily Times, we move to the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning. On the front page of the Nation, Tinubu, we have met 2025 revenue targets, gained stability. We have met 2025 revenue target, gained stability with riders, government diversifying to agric, non-oil sector. Abbas Al-Makura lead Buhari's men to pledge support. You can read up that on the front page of the newspaper this morning, the Nation newspaper this morning. Moving to the top street. Shetima to president, I won't take our bond for granted. Shetima to president, I won't take our bond for granted. You might like to read up that story on page 4 to know exactly what the vice president is talking about right there. Of course, recently the president came out to say that he didn't make a mistake when he chose Shetima as his VP. He's quite sure of what he's doing. You know, there have been rumors at some point that Shetima might be dropped. Some people in the north were agitating and all that. But the presidency is trying to lay that to rest, saying there is no problem. There is nothing to worry about. Away from that, still on the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning. Lagos to host electricity powerboat championship. Lagos to host electric powerboat championship, rather. You can read of that story on page 3. You know, whenever you see electric, you almost translate it to electricity. But here is an electric powerboat championship to be hosted by Lagos. Quite a commendable one. I do hope they have sufficient power to charge those boats. Away from that, adjacent university lecturers withdraw services over unpaid salaries. Adjacent varsity lecturers withdraw services over unpaid salaries. You can read of that story on page 5. And below that, Nigeria braces for cyber digital diplomacy, says Tugar. You can read of that story on page 4. BPE to list 2 discos, Janko on stock exchange. You can read of that story right there on the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning. So we have FMBN, FHA, Film Corporation, others for commercialization. And on the red strip, 60-year-old delivered of babies at Abwad Teaching Hospital. You can read of that story on page 5. Wow. 60-year-old delivered of babies. This is quite impressive. At 60, never say never. Anything can happen scientifically, and of course, you know, in this part of the world, we call them miracles. And anything can happen. Away from that, I'm still on the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning. Wike Camp gives conditions for PDP convention to hold. Wike Camp gives conditions for PDP convention to hold. You can read of that story on page 3. With a rider, group insists on Congress. Rule of law. We can't be intimidated, says Bala Muhammad. We can't be intimidated, says Bala Muhammad. And on the bottom strip, XIG Arase served with honor, dignity, say Jonathan Ehindero. You can read up that story on page 4. And that will be all from the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning.
All right, so much to really talk about, but then time is always moving very fastly. On this program, we take a quick break right now. When we return, we speak to issues, you know, one of the most pressing challenges Nigeria is facing right now. Stay with us.